Saturday, sometime Sunday afternoon, we're going to get ourselves a little rain, and then it's going to be a little cool and showery for a few days after that. Anyway, have yourself a great Friday and Saturday. Next news at 7.
On World News Tonight this Thursday, investigators find propane bombs in the Columbine High School kitchen. Were the young killers also trying to blow up the school? From the Russians, let's make a deal. From NATO, let's think about ground troops. And a big day for Big Blue. A leaner IBM leads a surge on Wall Street.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. Were they really trying to blow up the school? That is at least the conjecture tonight in Colorado, and it now turns out that the two young killers, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, had mustered enough explosive power to do a lot of damage. Today, investigators who've been scouring the school for evidence found propane tanks rigged to explode in the high school kitchen. The police still wonder how the boys could get so much stuff into the school by themselves. There have also been other clues to the boys' state of mind today, a note and a videotape. And our first report is from ABC's Tom Foreman.
Just when police were convinced they had finally found all the bombs left in the school, they found another in the kitchen. A propane tank was discovered in a duffel bag. It had a very crude detonator, which investigators doubt would have worked. But similar bombs were found in the suspects' cars near their gas tanks the day of the shooting.
We believe with the intent between the gasoline and the propane, and we have evidence supporting that, is these subjects were not only going on a killing rampage, but they were going to destroy the school. They were going to burn the school up.
Investigators are almost certain the bombs, nearly 40 in all, were constructed at the boys' homes. Karen Goodson heard power tools and breaking glass as he passed Eric Harris's house last weekend.
He assumed it was some kind of a school project that they were working on because he noticed that Dylan's car was out there.
Agents for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms say the two types of bombs the gunmen threw during their attack at the school were very simple, constructed of common items.
The first one is just it's your basic metal pipe bomb. The second one is it's a small CO2 cartridge that was drilled out and filled with powder.
The pipe bombs, similar to this one, were wrapped in nails and BBs with matches taped to their fuses so they could be quickly lighted. But most of them did not work and were simply left scattered throughout the building. As for the guns, the ATF said the boys had a semi-automatic 9mm rifle and pistol, like these. Records show the guns were sold by a local licensed dealer. It is not clear yet if the boys were the buyers. They also had two shotguns with very short, sawed-off barrels.
When you're shooting buckshot out of a very short barrel like that, it just spreads to a very wide pattern, and you could, unfortunately, you could hit a lot of people with one shot.
Investigators have also found two other important items in the boys' homes. The first, a note detailing the plan for the attack. The second, a videotape allegedly made as a school project, but which depicts the boys showing off weapons and acting out violence. Other students who saw the videotape say it is frightening. All the preparation for the assault has authorities looking hard for accomplices.
It's just a feeling from our investigators right now that the chances are very, very good that we have more than the two people involved.
But other investigators and other students who knew the two gunmen believe no one else was involved or knew the attack was coming. Tom Foreman, ABC News, Littleton, Colorado.
Outside the school today, you get a hint of it there, where the public is still being kept at a distance. The clusters of flowers and messages are growing. It is in these small gatherings of people that form here just to talk that you hear the stories of the agony and of the bravery. ABC's Judy Muller has been listening today.
In the midst of horror, moments of heroism. Teacher David Sanders, who warned students to get out of the cafeteria, to stay away from the windows, continued his rescue efforts, even after he'd been critically wounded. His colleague, Cheryl Lucas, was there.
He was so courageous and sacrificed his life for all of the students in the cafeteria.
And then there were the students who tried to save Sanders after he collapsed, who tried to bind his wounds with their own clothes. As the mayhem continued around them, the boys showed Sanders the family pictures from his wallet, saying, "Just hold on." The police entered the room hours later, but still, student Aaron Hansey wanted to stay behind with his dying teacher. He was ordered out with the rest. Other kids may owe their lives to teacher Kent Friesen, who hid them in the science lab while he stood guard at the door, armed with only a fire extinguisher, until the danger had passed. Over in the library, where the carnage was the worst, Sean Huey told his sister Sarah and his friend Crystal to get under a table when the shooting started. And then he covered the two girls with his own body.
He just kept me calm the whole time, and every time I would jump, and he just was like, shh. You know, he just kept me, I mean, we prayed the whole time.
I don't know, I just felt like I should be the one to get shot if anybody's going to get shot.
He says he did what anyone would do. In fact,
I just feel bad that I couldn't help anybody else.
the word hero is often trivialized by overuse, and certainly none of these people would attach that label to themselves. But ask any of the people they've helped, and there's nothing trivial about it.
I will always picture him standing just inside by the plate glass windows, warning us. I keep seeing him doing that over and over again.
Judy Muller, ABC News, Littleton, Colorado.
There is naturally a heightened sense of caution at all schools all around the country. North of Dallas, parents rushed to pull their children out of school today after a bomb threat was reportedly spray-painted on the cafeteria wall. In Colorado Springs, 4 teenagers were arrested for trespassing when they showed up at a neighborhood high school wearing trench coats and black masks. Trench coats have been banned in Denver and several other Colorado school districts because they might conceal weapons. It's been a challenging week for the National Rifle Association. In small but perhaps telling ways, the Columbine killing is having an impact on the gun control debate. The NRA was scheduled to hold a full-scale convention in Denver next week. The gun lobby scaled its plans down, but it may not have been enough. ABC's Aaron Brown is also in Littleton tonight.
For the pro-gun lobby, the tragedy could not have come at a worse time. Having just lost the fight to allow concealed weapons in Missouri, the NRA National Convention next week was to be its comeback. The organization agreed to scale the convention back to just one day. The mayor says that's not enough.
When you have a mission that talks about additional proliferation of guns in America, that you then don't go to a community where many kids have been killed from the objects that you try to sell.
But the convention issue is a small one compared to the political pressures building here. 3 bills designed to loosen gun control laws that certainly would have passed the legislature next week have been dropped by their sponsors.
In light of the tragedy at Columbine, it would just be a slap in the face of those families to debate any kind of gun legislation.
And the gun lobby's leader drew criticism for what he said to a TV interviewer yesterday.
If there had been even one armed guard in that school, he could have saved a lot of lives and perhaps ended the whole thing instantly.
In fact, there was an armed officer in the school on Tuesday trying to do exactly that.
He engaged the 2 shooters in a running gun battle. He was armed, as most deputies are armed, with a handgun.
I think this puts the NRA in a very difficult position. The NRA is out there promoting the notion that more guns in our society will make us safer. Try telling that to the people of Littleton.
A pro-gun legislator, the House Majority Leader, said the same thing to us today, that the fear of the victims' families testifying, reliving the tragedy, he said, will keep legislators from even considering loosening gun laws for many years to come. Aaron Brown, ABC News, Littleton, Colorado.
There has been no public comment from Charlton Heston since he made those remarks, but the Minnesota governor, Jesse Ventura, says today he regrets a comment he made yesterday that lives may have been saved if someone at the school had been carrying a concealed weapon. A little later in the broadcast, by the way, we're going to take a closer look at the killers and the connection through the internet. And later this evening, there's a special edition of Nightline, which will be a town meeting in Jonesboro, Arkansas, a community that has seen this kind of pain. 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 Central Time. When we come back, the other news, war by committee, NATO, and what's the next step? And Big Blue making the most of a makeover.
Based on reactions so far, we're so sure you'll love Kellogg's Nutri-Grain Twist bars, we'll give you your money back if you don't. Just send the bottom panel with the UPC barcode for a full refund. Guaranteed. How's that for a twist? Kellogg's Nutri-Grain Twists. Like them, you'll try them, or your money back.
Bonnie Plant Farm grows over 100 million plants. Every time we water, we feed these plants with Miracle-Gro. Look at the roots on this rascal. It wraps all the way around the plant. The quality, the vitality, the character of the plant is much better with Miracle-Gro.
That the party of the first part did not intend for the party of the second.
I should have used Preparation H.
If you had, you wouldn't be suffering now. Preparation H helps stop itch and further irritation with a soothing layer of protection.
I should have used Preparation H.
Stops itch, stops irritation.
I'm 64. Is there anything I can do to stop bone loss?
Absolutely. Here's proof. In a landmark clinical study, Caltrate actually stopped bone loss in women at risk for osteoporosis, whatever your age.
It's never too late for Caltrate.
In Washington today, the political leaders of the NATO alliance have begun to gather in force for what was originally intended to be a major celebration of NATO's 50th birthday. It has not turned out to be a wake instead, but given the struggle that NATO air power is having in Yugoslavia, there's not going to be much celebrating. ABC's Sam Donaldson is at the White House tonight. Sam.
Well, Peter, the president's policy has been air power alone can do it, ground troops to keep the peace, but only after an agreement has stopped the fighting. But now, the plans to fight a ground war and the public language about one are being adjusted in small ways in an unsaid acknowledgement that it may take ground troops to achieve NATO's demands.
Secretary of State Albright said again today the U.S. does not favor fighting on the ground.
We do, however, believe it is prudent to update our plans and assessments and to support the Secretary General Solana's efforts to do so.
And as for the present policy of not deploying ground troops in a non-permissive, meaning a hostile environment, British Foreign Secretary Cook seemed to waffle on what that really means.
But what is a permissive environment and what is an appropriate time to go in is a judgment that we can only make when that time comes.
In the White House Rose Garden this afternoon, NATO Secretary General Solana sounded a fierce determination to prevail no matter what it takes.
Ethnic cleansing is a crime, and we have to reverse it. We have the means, and we have the will.
President Clinton said that while he's for updating ground troop plans, he still thinks air power can do it and is sticking to his present policy. However, when asked if ground troops might be set in even if Milosevic hasn't agreed, the president answered,
There are scenarios under which that could occur.
One of the possible scenarios could be that air power could damage the Serb forces in Kosovo to the point where fewer ground troops, suffering fewer casualties, could secure the territory. But even that would be a big change in policy. Still, Peter, it could come down to the point of which is more important, NATO's goals or the present limited policy for achieving them.
Thank you, Sam. When the Pentagon spokesman said today we're not going after the Serbian leader Slobodan Milosevic, it raised a few eyebrows in Washington, not to mention in the Yugoslav capital Belgrade, because NATO destroyed Mr. Milosevic's home this morning. ABC's Morton Dean is in Belgrade.
The presidential villa looked like just another NATO target today, except for a few remnants from its ornate past. The government news agency said President Milosevic and his family were not in the house when missiles blew it apart at 4 in the morning. NATO officials believe he sleeps in underground bunkers. Hours after the attack, he showed up to meet with Russia's new envoy to Yugoslavia, Viktor Chernomyrdin. Serbian officials ridiculed NATO's assertion that the villa was a tactically important command and control center. And tonight, the building housing Serbia's 2 main national television stations was knocked off the air following a pair of tremendous explosions. There is continuous anti-aircraft fire in this capital city tonight. Morton Dean, ABC News, Belgrade.
Russia said late today it has agreed with the Serbs to allow an international presence in Kosovo and end the NATO bombing. There aren't many details, but tonight even Serbia is saying its position has not changed, and the White House says it does not think much of the proposal. In Albania today, some aid workers began relocating refugees by helicopter away from the border camps to places deeper inside the country. There's been growing concern because of clashes along the border between the Serb forces and the Kosovo Liberation Army. When we come back, other news again. Why is IBM so hot again?
Our latest innovation springs from a very old idea, that heat
cleans better. And so, Bissell introduces the first and only upright deep cleaner with an onboard heater. A common sense idea to make cleaning even cleaner. The new Power Steamer Pro Heat Plus from Bissell. Life's messy. Clean it up.
You're not taking that laxative. It's got stimulants that may cause cramping. Says who? Says on the label. Don't you know nothing's better than Phillips Nichols Magnesia?
All these overnight laxatives have stimulants that may cause cramping. Phillips doesn't. It's the only one that's stimulant-free.
What a rare bird.
She sure is. Phillips, effective relief without harsh stimulants. And also try convenient liquid gels.
I can help you plan ahead and make sure you have money for things like the kids' education.
That's fantastic. But I was thinking about starting my own business.
As a matter of fact, that's part of the plan, too. Now, here's the best part. Guaranteed income for you and Meg to retire in style.
AXA. Dynamic vision. Equitable. A trusted resource. Call us. Equitable is a member of the global AXA group.
Announcing a new way to see. Near and far. The way nature intended. The creator of AccuView, the most prescribed contact lens, is introducing the revolutionary AccuView bifocal contact lens. The first with pupil-intelligent design, near and far. Get out of wearing glasses and get into life, both near and far. New AccuView bifocal. It's how you see things. Visit your eye care professional or call us for more information.
There was a big rally on Wall Street today. First, take a look at the Dow Jones Industrials. The average is up more than 145 points to close at 10,727. That's a record high. On the NASDAQ, stocks were up 72 points. This rally today was fueled in large measure by a big, better-than-expected earnings report from computer giant IBM. Their stock today alone was up 13%. ABC's Betsy Stark tonight on the new Big Blue.
The company that ushered in the computer age had lost its way at the beginning of the 1990s, clinging to the mainframe, while rivals such as Microsoft, Compaq, and Intel built empires on the revolution in personal computers. Today, IBM's products and its business strategy are once again cutting edge. Now companies that do business on the internet use IBM mainframes to help manage electronic commerce. Sales of IBM laptops are growing. And IBM is making a bundle of money on service.
IBM is really able to go into a customer's site, make sense of all the computers they have, and take that complexity and make it simpler.
IBM is also a much leaner company. More than 100,000 employees were cut over the past decade. IBM's spectacular earnings stand in marked contrast to Compaq's very poor numbers which help send the NASDAQ into a tailspin Monday. Investors must now decide which company represents the future of technology. Betsy Stark, ABC News, New York.
Elsewhere around the country today in Kentucky, 7 people died when a Black Hawk Army helicopter crashed in a wooded area at Fort Campbell. 4 others were injured. There are few details from the Army about what actually caused the crash. In Washington today, a federal judge has ruled that Russell Weston, the gunman who killed 2 officers in the U.S. Capitol last summer, is not competent to stand trial. The judge says he's incapable of understanding the charges against him. In many places around the country today, people were marking Earth Day, and the Space Agency released the first pictures of the Midwest from the new Landsat 7 satellite. Researchers say the images will help them track climate change and predict which areas are at risk for, among other things, wildfire. In a moment, we're going to take a closer look at the 2 killers in Colorado and the internet.
World News Tonight with Peter Jennings and a closer look are brought to you by Aflac, insuring over 40 million people worldwide.
Why do I have Aflac insurance on top of my regular health insurance? Because he has his mother's eyes. Because I still have to teach him to whistle. And because Aflac helps cover what other insurance doesn't. If I'm injured, Aflac even provides cash to help pay bills. So why do I have Aflac? Did I mention he has his his mother's eyes? Aflac supplemental insurance. Without it, no insurance is complete.
Now there's a new kind of Alpo. Alpo Complete.
I try to take good care of myself. Feel the same way about Sam. Both of us start the day with a good meal. He gets this new Alpo Complete. The vet says it'll improve his digestion and keep him healthy from the inside. I need Sam to keep up with me. That's why I feed him Alpo.
New Alpo Complete, a breakthrough formula that keeps your dog healthy from the inside. A great dog deserves new Alpo from Friskies.
I'm gonna live forever.
I'm gonna ruin your shirt. Stay. Baby, remember my name.
The amazing new Maytag Neptune washer. With its Turbo Clean Wash system, it actually has the power to remove stains.
Say goodnight, Stains.
Now in a super stack.
I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart of mine embraces.
Have you seen Transitions lenses lately? Indoors, the changing tint is clearer. Outdoors, they're the darkest Transitions lenses ever. For all-day comfort and convenience, Transitions lenses, right in any light. Come to JCPenney Optical and save 40% on a complete pair of eyeglasses when you buy Transitions lenses.
Mom's calling Enterprise Rent-A-Car because our car is sick.
Enterprise will arrange to pick you up,
Wow!
drive you to our place, and get you on your way.
Everybody loves to be picked up.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
We're going to take a closer look tonight at the two young killers of Columbine High and the Internet. When you look at the two boys' personal histories, what pops up right away is the fact that the Internet was an important source of information and maybe inspiration. And tonight, the FBI is working with America Online to see how much more they can learn. First, here's ABC's Gina Smith.
Like millions of teenage boys around the country, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold spent much of their free time playing the computer game Doom, hunting down and killing opponents in these winding corridors. For Eric Harris, an expert Doom player, the game echoed other violent interests. This website apparently belonged to Harris, featuring the German metal rock group KMFDM, known for its violent lyrics. At another site, Eric Harris posted detailed instructions on making pipe bombs. Authorities were able to trace the document to a computer in the Harris house. The bomb-making information may have come from one of the dozens of bomb-making websites online.
It's possible they could have gotten this material on the internet by anyone typing a few words into a search engine.
Other websites offer information on guns, and guns are even sold online. But in the websites apparently belonging to Harris, it is the Doom game that is front and center. Unlike violent TV or movies, such games let players participate in the violence, not just watch. And that's what sets these games apart.
In that way, you are the fighter pilot. You are, the aggressor. You are pulling the trigger and shooting, which you don't do in a movie medium.
Studies have already shown the impact some commercials and movies can have on children. And now, some say the stakes are raised when a troubled child can play the role of a killer in hour after hour of violent computer game. Gina Smith, ABC News, New York.
One thing we should all know for certain about the Internet now, it is another way for children to have a life that adults have a hard time penetrating. ABC's John Miller raises the question tonight of whether the government should be trying harder to learn what's going on.
6 months before the Columbine massacre, researchers at the Simon Wiesenthal Center, which studies hate groups, found the webpage of Eric Harris from links on an anarchist website.
They rubbed shoulders with the subculture that was teaching people how to build bombs.
If private groups like the Wiesenthal Center are engaging in investigative net surfing, looking for indicators of future violence, should the FBI and the ATF be doing the same thing?
Those are open and free nets. There's no federal violation that we generally see in that advertisement and in the description of how to make these bombs.
Government surveillance of citizens is always controversial, but increasingly investigators are turning to private organizations who do their own monitoring of the net. And one education watchdog group says that is as close as the government should get.
I do not think we should institute a form of government surveillance of this medium. We wouldn't want government tapping into everybody's telephones.
Because those private organizations have developed so much intelligence about potentially violent groups, some in law enforcement believe it may be time to reassess using the Internet as a valuable intelligence base. John Miller, ABC News, New York.
A closer look for today. We'll be back in just a moment.
Soluble fiber found in psyllium is also found in Metamucil, which means it may now actually help reduce your risk of heart disease by lowering cholesterol. Metamucil, good for you, good for your heart.
Do you use the same corn pads your grandmother used? Well, there's a breakthrough. Band-Aid brand corn relief cushions. It covers the whole corn, relieving the awful, painful pressure. Plus, it's more comfortable than your old pad, and it stays in place better. After all, it's from Band-Aid brand.
Band-Aid brand cushions for feet. A breakthrough in corn pain relief.
For blister prevention, calluses, and bunions, try the line of Band-Aid brand cushions for feet.
The 300 Secret. At Chrysler, the latest 300 is unveiled.
The 300 philosophy has always been one of styling leadership. Presenting the newest 300.
Chrysler 300M, the 253 horsepower descendant of the legendary Letter series.
Sliding into the spacious cabin makes you feel connected to a true automotive thoroughbred.
And now, Motor Trend 1999 Car of the Year.
Does tossing one of these into your tank kill germs? Well, here's one way to be sure. Lysol Continuous Action Automatic Toilet Cleaner. It not only cleans, it kills germs. No other automatic toilet cleaner kills more. You have our word on it.
Julius Caesar received the most famous gift in history. This is why they murdered him. Cleopatra, the most seductive woman who ever lived, comes to ABC Sunday, May 23rd.
Coming up next, days after the violent rampage in Colorado, a 10-year-old Springfield boy is accused of shooting a BB gun at students and using radio waves to keep tabs on salmon. I'm Steve Dunn. News of the Northwest is coming up next.
Just a brief review of our top story this evening. In Littleton, Colorado, investigators have now found propane tanks with timers on them in the Columbine High School kitchen. And they believe that Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold may have been trying to blow up the school. In all, nearly 40 bombs have been found, though none as large as these. The police are also asking how the two could have brought so much explosive material into the school themselves. And they are looking hard, they say, for anyone else who might have been involved in any way. That is our report on World News Tonight. Don't forget the special edition of Nightline. Town meeting from Jonesboro, Arkansas, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 9 Central. I'm Peter Jennings. I hope we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Tomorrow, 30 days of bombing. NATO continues the strikes. But what have they accomplished? Where are they going? Watch ABC's World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source.